Okay, this week we're going to review Sanhedrin Yud Zayin Chav Gimel. We talk a lot about the Sanhedrin, which is good because the Sanhedrin. We start talking about Kohen Gadol and then the halachas of kings. We get into a lot of Agata about David HaMelech. Very interesting stories of David HaMelech, and then we're back to Sanhedrin. Today's daf is about Zablah and all kinds of interesting agatas, but a lot, mostly, if I had to summarize, about Sanhedrin and kings. All right, so we start on daf Yud Zayin in the last line of Zayin and Beis. There's no real pictures for this daf. Pictures start in the next daf. So there was a machlokus in the Mishnah if the Sanhedrin Gdolah, Rabbanan says 71 people, and Rabbi Yehuda said 70 people. So how did they learn out? So famous pasuk for Yisasvu Sham Imach. Imach V'at V'adayhu. That means Moshe was with them, so that equals 71. Or the Gemara brings another pasuk, V'nasu Itcha B'masa'am, and they will bear the burden of the people with you. So with you means you're on Sanhedrin with them. And you could say the opposite. You could explain that means like the Rashi says above here, that they are just standing with you, but you're not part of Sanhedrin. But again, the Rabbanan bring either or Itcha. Now the Gemara brings a story of Eldad and Medad. Eldad and Medad, they're choosing at Sanhedrin, so there's supposed to be 70 people, either plus or Moshe or not plus Moshe. So they had to take Shvatim. So if you do math, they had to make a lottery to see who should be in Sanhedrin. So there were 70 people, and each Shevet, if you divide it evenly, then you have to take 6 from each Shevet. And the Gemara goes to Cheshbon, should you take 5 from each Shevet? Or 5 from, some Shevet should take 5. So basically there was 72 pieces and 2 were blank. And the people picked pieces. There was 2 blank pieces already picked, right? And then there was 2 pieces left in the box. So obviously 2 left in the box were pieces that said Zaken, not blank, because the blank pieces were taken already. And as we know, the maids were there, and the similar thing happened with the redemption of the Bechoros. The Bechoros also, there weren't any blank pieces there, but some were corresponding to Ben Levi, and some had to redeem themselves. A Pidyon Nefesh, I guess, the Torah's case of Pidyon Nefesh. These days people also have Pidyon Nefesh, but the Torah's case of Pidyon Nefesh. So again, who Mishal B'Yad Ben Levi, then if he picked up a piece that said Ben Levi, so he corresponds to Levi, is free to go, and whoever said Chamesh Shkol had to cough up 5 Shkol. What was the Nevuah? So there was 3 sheets is what Nevuah. What was Nevuah that was being said? So one was Moshe Meis Yeshua Machas Haaretz. Moshe is going to die, and Yeshua is going to bring the people to the land. Another one, that's the famous one everyone knows. And another one, they talked about the Slav. And the third one, they talked about Gog and Magog. Right? So the question is, if they were saying Moshe responded, well, first of all, we know Yeshua said to Moshe, lock them up. So why he said lock them up? Because they were doing like Tam of the Maralach of Neirabah. Right? They were like, and of course the shmuz is that Yeshua himself, when he said that, he was also being more halach of Neirabah. He was telling Moshe what to do, and he said that what they were wrong was to be more halach of Neirabah. Fine. The question is, if the Nevuah was number 1, choice number 1, Moshe Meis Yeshua Machas Haaretz, why did Moshe say keep saying Nevuah? Right? Which that's more asked. It's an interesting question, but at face value, according to Mandam Moshe Meis, so why was he Nicha? And the Gemara says Lo Simu Kamed. He didn't finish it in front of him, so he didn't realize the whole Nevuah. I guess there was other parts of Nevuah, but the punchline they didn't get to, So I guess it was first of all, it was a longer nevuah than 5 words. So they didn't get the punchline. So Gemara apparently is saying if Moshe would have heard that, he would have said, "Stop." I don't like that nevuah either. Anyway, my koloim wasn't being locked them up. Hata lein sarchitzibur vein kolam me'alim, right? Which talks about nevuaschem kola. That doesn't mean if you put sarchitzibur on the people, they'll be so sad or so I say more means more disenchanted. Like if you deal with the public a lot, then you become very disenchanted. So so if you're also Tzarchi Tzibur, then you become very disenchanted. So Moshe said, don't worry about it. Moshe is saying, don't worry, they'll burn out. Basically make them dafim, make them Tzarchi Tzibur, and don't worry. They'll be so busy. Or it told us over here at Mishum Atzfus that they'll be sad. Why they'll be sad? I guess because because they work with the tzibur. They'll be so I don't say I say it's dispirited or whatever from working with people. Right. So if you want to be happy, don't have to do with the people. Fine. So Sanhedrin should be right. So the Sanhedrin has to be know 70 languages and know how to retire shirts. Now you have to have a certain amount of people then to have a Sanhedrin in it. So, 1 second.
Why or to be able to be the closest Sanhedrin?
I think to require a Sanhedrin, I'm saying you have to have 120 people.
I'm saying 120, once you hit 120, then you have a give to have a Sanhedrin there? Or then you have the opportunity
that's a good question. Do you have that chiyuv? I don't know. Not sure.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I have a note here, but I don't see it. Anyway, and how do you have 120? The minimum is 120. It's very interesting how you have 120. Basically, you need 23. Like I said, to be on Sanhedrin, and then you have to have 3 rows of people of not understudied people learning from them. So that's 92, and then you have to have 10 people battling, right? 10 people learning in the shul, and that's 102. And they have 2 sofrim, 2 chazanim, and then you have to have cook, kabbalah wash. You have all types of right. They have all types of people. Asar dvarim halalu. You have to have all types of things. Someone charges kubutz of tzedakah, which you have to collect with 2, distribute with 3. Basically, that's
so basically that's the whole town.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think it's the whole leadership of the town. If you don't have like 120 people in the town government, it's too small.
Then you're small.
You're a small town. You're like out of town. Right. Right. You're like out of town. Fine. Oh, we skipped over that Monopoly board, which I didn't take a picture of the Monopoly board. This whole Gemara over here is when you see a specific lashon.
Right.
It's this chacham, which, whatever.
Lashon throughout Shas.
Right. Rabbi Sanhedrin Shabbat, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Sanhedrin Shabbat, Rabbi Abba. Then go this whole list if you want.
A active Monopoly board.
Right. I didn't copy it, but yeah, I didn't. Right. So if you remember this list, right, and if you it is sort of a reference who we're talking about throughout Shas. 1 second. Now, so
Come on.
fine. 1 second. Where are we? Fine. Basically, the end of the daf talks about sorry, alpha, sorry, male, sorry, soros, and that's the first math slide, which is a little didn't print out so well. Unless, oh yeah, you see, I don't see. Okay, I can't see those colors. Sorry, alofim, sorry, meos, sorry, chamishim, sorry, asaros. So basically, the 78,600 officers, right? And Toast asked a question. Maybe the officers weren't counted within each other, but oh, you don't see this. I didn't share this slide. Here, 1 second. Yeah, here we go. So here's the sorry, alofim 600 because 600,000. Say male 6,000, and that's 78,600. So that's the amount of either officers that the Jewish people had. So Shivas Bibo 70,000. Ushmas alofim 8,000. Vishesh Meos 600. Fine. So that's including how many officers there were in the Jewish people. Fine. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because we're talking about the appointing Sanhedrin, so now we're appointing the whole system. I don't know. Fine. No, it was in this Mimbar. I don't know. I think so.
Well,
Right, Yisro was in the Mimbar. Right. Fine. There are things which are skipping over now, which is Bezdin is a suffix. The Gemara goes through the various mathematical calculations, which is for earlier in the day. If people aren't sure, you add on this and you add on this amount and add on this amount. Fine. Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol. Okay, this is Perek Kohen Gadol. We'll do the whole Perek in about 20 minutes. Half an hour. So just the Mishnah says Kohen Gadol could judge and you could judge him. He could testify and testify against him. He do chalitza and he can't necessarily do yibum because he's also almana. He can't marry a woman who was married to his brother, whose brother passed away, because she is now an almana by definition. And the Gemara discusses maybe she's very likely she's been asu and she's not a psula either, which is a second it's asay. It's asay v'lo sasay.
There's a scenario that it could work because there's meaning that in between.
Well, then it's only lo sasay. It's not. That's asay do lo sasay.
Then he can't be married.
Huh?
Then he don't be a psula.
If what?
She was an almana.
Right.
Psula.
Right, but Kohen Gadol is also almana anyway. But then I say no, you're right. Then he would be.
Only one license.
So then it'll be asay do lo sasay. You're right. He would go ahead with it. Right. The Gemara, just skipping to the end of the base, says Gzer Birishon to be a shnia. Even in that case, we can't do it. That's
Isn't that a problem in all universities?
well, there's a lot of stuff there, like Chayv Lavin, like Kedushin's Topes. I try not to think about because Yivamos. But this Kedushin grabs on, so you could do Yibum.
Right.
But then, so I think that's Chayv Lavin, Chayv Yaseh, really. You know, the Yibum will work because if most people hold, except Rabbi Akiva or whatever, that Kedushin does work by Chayv Lavin, Chayv Yaseh. So if you do Yibum, the problem is the second time, B'yer Shni is going to be also. And there's no mitzvah then. Then you don't have a Seder Cholos Aseh. No, every time is Isser. Chayv Lav, whatever the Lav is.
Is the way Kedushin with.
Right, but that's the first time. Now he's married.
Yeah.
So that's the Aseh. The Aseh is gone. You did the Aseh. Now it's a Los Aseh, regular Los Aseh. So that's a B'yer Shni. So that's Gzer B'yer Shon to B'yer Shni.
No.
No, I'm talking about Stama, whatever. That's Yivams. That's not right.
It's just things around.
Right.
Just because she felt deep evil, the Asian's not still there. You're just letting it go.
She's still his right.
Well, she's still.
No, or so we might either he would do that, or we would say because of that, B'yer Rishon. Here the Gemara says over here about the Kohen Gadol, Gzer B'yer Rishon to be a shnir. We just did that, right?
Why entertaining the idea of you,
Right. It's a mitzvah still. It's a, All right, fine. Anyway, back to the Mishnah on the Ches second on the top. He goes to Galus and 1 second. I'm sorry. Oh, if someone dies, that's a whole. We do have a picture of that. How does the procession work? The Gemara will go into that. Yeah, we had. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. And there's Machlokus and Meir Yehuda, which the Gemara will get into a little later. Does he leave the Beis Hamikdash? Does he go out b'chlal? If there's a funeral procession, does he attend? And the question is, even if the Gemara will get into, even if there is a funeral procession, does he stand in the middle? He stands on the side. Avelim stand in the middle. How it used to work, how does it work now? Fine. And also, again, he's benach machirim. If he's not the Ava, how does it work? Now the Melech is on a higher pedestal, and basically he can't do anything. Because he can't spit in the mouth. And the underlying principle is so everything that the Kohen Gadol could do, basically, the Melech cannot do, more or less. No, you can't, because if you're married to the Melech, you can't be married to anyone. That's in Ratzalach. So it says,
allow her to be married, and she can't be married anyway, so you don't have a chalitza.
Russ, that's what Yehuda says, right? That's right. Rabbi Yehuda says if he wants to lachol to liyabim, zachol to. If he wants to chalitza, you can do it. Which Abu Chana brings a raya from that chalitza is optional, but it's not mandatory. Which you have these days. Old people.
There's a lot of chalitza to get, but oily yabim. How do the yabim zachol?
Good question. That's a good question. Oliyabim, if he wants to be miyabim, no, he wants to be miyabim. The Melech could be miyabim.
The Melech can't.
He's not a Kohen Gadol. He can, he can do even. Right. Fine. Fine. And basically, the second part of the Mishnah is saying, in short, that anything that belongs to a king, which we'll get into the subsequent Mishnahs in this part, you can't use anything that belongs to a king. Don't touch. Right? If it belongs to a king, you can't use it. So the question is, the Kohen Gadol judges, of course. Right? If he's going to judge other people, he has to be able to be judged himself. You can't judge other people. You can't. First, you have to show atzmacha. You have to fix yourself up before you fix up other people. So, of course, he's going to be judging other people. Of course, he has to be able to judge himself. The basic chiddush is b'shogeg golas tzrichale. The chiddush is that he can go to Golos. Now, what's the problem with the Kohen Gadol going to Golos? He probably will never leave, because the only time you leave Golos is when the Kohen Gadol, who is himself, dies. Right? The only way out is, let's say he goes there, and then there's another Kohen Gadol who takes over. I guess because he's busy locked up in Golos. Oh, right, the other Kohen, right? Oh, the old Kohen, he took over. It's right. So, right. I was thinking that. Right. There's two Kohen Gadols. There's Mashiach Muhammad also. Right. So it could be. I'm not sure if anyone says it. I was thinking that. I don't know. The thought passed through my head. Fine. So, fine. Now, of course, all Kohen Gadol could be. Now, the question is, we said in the Bryce, in our Mishnah, Ein das hashevelos navisheklos Kohen Gadol al bebezdin shal shiva ve'echad, right? And we had a Brysa saying that he could be judged by 3, right? The Brysa before said that he could be judged by 3. But what else I'll say? Where is it? Somebody says it could be judged by 3. So the question is, our Mishnah says 71. So we bring the famous pasuk which we brought twice before. Kol hadavar gol yavi olecha. Bring him all the big stuff. And now, before it was about judging Kohen Gadol, I was saying if he did something very bad, then it has to be judged in the Bezin of 71, right? Very Gadol, Hadover Hagadol Ksiv, Davar Gadol Mamash, right? Mamash. That's why we use Mamash, right? If something is very severe, then you bring it to 71. Now the question is, may it 1 second. Could testify, but it's not fi kvodo for him to be in court unless the Melech's there. The problem is that the Melech is never on trial. Not like in America. Well, we don't have a king, but so the Kohen Gadol, we say, can only be in court lefi kvodo in zakin fi kvodo. That's one of the slides. It's halam to him that just like returning Aveda, you can't do unless lefi kvodo. He can't testify also lefi kvodo, unless it's lefi kvodo. The question is, how could the only time it's lefi kvodo is maybe if they melech. Question is, when's the king in court? That's the Ben Melch is in court, and the king is just there to watch. And what happens? Of course, the king is not judged. The king will only come to court, huh?
He's just influencing.
Right, I guess so. Right. Well, we had it in the news say all the presidents were there watching. Right. So that's the get. Right. So the king can't be there, but but he can be judged, but he can be there for his son, and he goes out after the testimony while they're deliberating. So at that time, the Kohen Gadol could be there. It's that's he could be judged and he could say edus, but it's enough before just to show up to say edus tamazai. So it has to be when the melech is there. So it's a very limited case when even the Kohen Gadol.
I didn't understand. I did clarify. When you say the Melech can't judge,
Right.
we have stories of Shlomo Melech judging people all the time. We have stories of
That's a
when
good
they
question.
judge.
Is that really judging, or it's like he's?
No, only based.
Oh, he's talking about- he's
Oh,
talking
right.
about
So that's
the judge.
very good. Excellent. Dafa based up. Right. Very good. Excellent. Good answer. Wow. Yeah, he was a Malcha based up. Right.
So then
He was Dafa's kid. Right. Oh, very good. Shema. Wow. It's on the. It's on.
That was the answer.
We didn't get there. It's on the bottom of. It's on the bottom of your test.
So if it's not David,
Right.
then they can judge.
Right. Then they could judge. Right. And what I was just saying before, Vyasam Kabul this fight, who also my Leana, right? This highlight over here is Mishnayik the Kohen Gadol, because the Kohen Gadol also, Vyasam, he says, Makabin Nira do say, first of all, he says down, we take his testimony, who also, and he goes, Umayin Leanan, the Dine, right? And we talk about it. Fine. So that's the only time, very limited circumstance, Kohen Gadol is coming to court. B'chlal. Now, a Melech and Kohen Gadol cannot be part of the decision about being Ma'abed the year. Why not? So the Melech wants to get a free month of work, Mishum Aspamya, because he has his army who works apparently on a yearly basis. They get a yearly salary. Right. So if you get a yearly Hebrew calendar salary and the year is a month long, it's like when the month has like 2 extra days in it, you know? So if you get paid every 2 weeks, you get more money. Right. Not every 2 weeks. If you get paid bi-monthly, and the month is shorter, then you get paid, whatever. So anyway, if the Melech Mishmaspamya, so the king has these workers, he's going to want to extend the year. The Kohen Gadol Mishmatzina, the Kohen Gadol is not going to want to extend the year because when he goes to mikveh five times on Yom Kippur, it's going to be freezing if it's in the middle of October. So he'd rather not make another Adar. Yes, it's a big shmooze, like, you know.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about the Kohen Gadol, and just
Oh, what?
right.
One person.
Right. And you're assuming he's a righteous person. If he's one of those imposters who took the Kuna Gedola in the middle by Sheni, fine. So then Stam, he's not running for anything. We're talking about a person who is worthy of the office, but still, yeah, he is worthy, right? But okay, then money is money.
Still.
It costs a lot of money. Okay, I get it. Fine. Right. Now again, there's more discussed on the bottom, but everyone's machavim to over here. Even in Ha'erison, the Kohen Gadol cannot do Yibum. Why? Because even though Aseh Dochalos Aseh, right, the first 7-8 pages of Yiramis or something are about Aseh Dochalos Aseh, if I remember correctly. But over here, Gzer B'Yashona B'Yashnia, don't do B'Yashona, because then the B'Yashnia is going to be a problem. Okay. Daf Yotes. We have Machlokas the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. So Meir says that he could go out of the Beis Hamikdash for a mace. And so what does it mean? So, but the question is, the Pasuk says, "Amin Hamikdash lo yetze." He should not leave the Beis Hamikdash. Right. That's a good question. Does live there? So, but he says, what does the Pasuk mean to say? So why is the Pasuk saying don't go out of Beis Hamikdash? If you could go out of Beis Hamikdash, the answer is lo yetze mikdushaso. Don't go out from the mikdash means be careful not to be tummy. And in line with that, basically, there's very shown in the beginning that Veil would stand and everyone will pass by. And By the Kohen Gadol, we have the Kohen Gadol standing and the people passing by. Oh, right. But the way he goes, if he's going to, there's two things. When he follows the funeral, so he's a turn behind everyone else, right? When they turn the corner, he turns the previous corner. So he's never with them, and we're choshes. That's another shmooze, I guess. That even though he's a Kohen Gadol, he's so distraught he might just run off. Right. Now when they're doing the lining up in the shura, so he goes and like in the picture over here, I didn't do the video. I don't have the videos because it doesn't come out in the slides. So whatever.
It doesn't show, it's just them walking.
Or if they clicked on fast.
Right. No, but I'm saying if I make a PowerPoint with the video, it shows a blank when you print it out, whatever. So we have the scan and the Kohen Gadol on the side and the Rosh Hashanah in the middle. Huh? No, you can put a video on PowerPoint, but I print it out. Right. No, but not, I print out the slides, so whatever. Fine. So in the middle, in the beginning, not like we do by sure, and apparently some people so like do the old way. We do the Avim going down the middle. But in the Rishona, the Avim would stand and everyone would go. And then there were two families in Yerushalayim that were fighting with each other, or there was Pritus, and even Tosus, I think, makes mention of it, even though it was obviously the time of Avelos and not the time for Pritus, the Yetzer Hara is always ready. Right. So basically, we changed it to the way we do it now, although some Teimanim or something still do it the old way, apparently. But the way we do it, as unfortunately, no, by right, sure has to be very good. That's the bottom over here. Where is it? Somewhere here. That the somewhere. Yeah, it is somewhere on this page. Huh?
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely on this page that the shura is ain't here. Here it is. Here it is. Here, right over here. Ain't shura p'chusme asar b'nei adam. And then fine, very good. Now it's highlighted. There was two similar things also that happened because of that resulted in tragedy, and because of that, we don't do that anymore. We don't follow those patterns. There was a woman whose son was going behind her. Sholte Isha Malchut Shuk Munachvel, Bisha Ma'aser Hoshai, it was Ma'aser Shahai. Rashi says that the Pritzim stole the kid, and then she ran after the kid to the house, and then they abused her in the house. Also, Sheilanas is very important. Sheilanas Sapos Pesakise. The woman should make sure to talk when they're in the bathroom. Should be yichud. So people should know that they're there, so they shouldn't come. They shouldn't open the door, or whatever, to the bathroom, to the outhouse, which is also yichud because it's the middle of nowhere.
Is one not supposed to talk in the bathroom?
I thought so, but the women are. I mean, from this again, there's a different situation. There's in the middle of the field, so it would be yichud. Huh? Right. To protect each other. Fine. And this is what you said before.
Oh, man, what a waste.
All right.
All good.
So Malchei Yisrael cannot judge. Malchei Beis David could judge, and it was the Gemara Ma'aser Shahaya. What was the Ma'aser? It was a real Ma'aser Shahaya, not pretend Ma'aser Shahaya. Basically, Yana was in the court, and he was there, and everyone was afraid to speak up, basically. And they said you have to speak up, and everyone turned this and because no one wanted to say against him. Therefore, small and people, everyone who was on the court was afraid to speak up before Yanai. So Shemashedach said, it's like, what are you doing? You're lost in thought. You're not lost in thought. He cursed them. So it's interesting. The tragedy came because he cursed them, but I guess it was the appropriate situation to curse them. So they said it's not a good idea to have a milk hanging around the court. Tensions are too high. But like Gemara said, it's only Malchei Yisrael, Malchei Beis David are exempt. Fine. Which is basically the basis for a lot of these halachas. Okay, the story very quickly of 1 second. Oh, it has Miskabel? No, it's Miskabel. Right.
Oh, it's during Micha.
Yeah, the story of Micha bar Shaul. So Shaul held she was not Mekadesh to David. She was married to David, but because of the sugya Mekash Benova, which is a different sugya, David had to give a kesef kedushin. He had to pay Shaul for the kedushin. So Shaul also owed him money for winning the battle, for killing goals, right? For the battle prize. So basically, he was mochel that, and his Shaul said, "No, you got to give me Meir Olus Plishim." So he gave back that also. So as a result of those transactions, there was kedushin according to Shaul. David and Palti ben Laish held there's not good kedushin. Why? I am in Kasha Milva either because Daita Milva, or because or maybe everyone, because when if you're mochel alone, it's not good. You have to do hanas bechilas milva, right? Just the mechilas milva is not enough. Or maybe he was on the arolos, but what are the arolos worth? They're worth to feed to a dog or a cat. People have cats, so you could feed the arolos to the cats. That's very valuable. No, so the point is basically no, it's two things. What do you mean? No. If the das is on the milva,
Nobody's saying they're all.
no. There's two pshat. One pshat is makash milva is not good, even if it's with a pruta, because daita milva $3 million mortgage would be mocha, and you have a 2 cent arlos thing. Maybe everyone agrees that they do recognize that the arolos are the kedushin, but were the arolos worth anything? So Shaul hold they were worth. Shaul hold they were worth a pruta, and David Palti Malayish. Correct. David and Palti Malayish held that they were not. Correct. So therefore, the kedushin is not a good kedushin. Fine. Right. Shaul Sava Milva Puto Daita Milva. I'm sorry, David Sava Daita Puto. Right. So Shaul said the Milva Puto Daita Milva, which is not a good kedushin. David hold. 1 second. I'm sorry, right. Shaul held there was not a good kedushin. Therefore, Shaul gave his daughter Michal to Palti Malayish. Thank you. Yes. Right. That's what I've highlighted here. So. David wasn't kedushin, and Palti Malayish said that it was a good kedushin, so he was not allowed to marry her. Right. Shaul Sav Milva Puta Daita Milva means and Makash Milva in Kedushes, as we know that of kedushin, right? And David said it was a good kedushin. Anyway, so basically, as the Gemara skips the story, the Gemara finishes the story on the bottom of the page. Palti Malayish famously put a sword between him and her and said, right? So at the moment he had inspiration, he grabbed the moment of inspiration, he's not allowed to marry her. So he put a sword there to remind himself in times of weakness that at one time he felt very strongly that this is usher. And I think someone said even the Sanhedrin held that like Shaul. So it wasn't a simple thing. Like he had his psak, which he and David HaMelech thought was right, but I think someone said Sanhedrin also said that she was not married.
But yet we say that it was.
Well, he was very righteous, right? Could be right. It could be that's what's connected to the Melech and the right to the Melech, right? And also Shaul wasn't the Malach of David. Well, he was before the whole business, but whatever.
Right.
Technically, Shaul was not from Malach of David. If whatever. So the Gemara in the middle just points out before it goes back into the story of Palti Malayish that it says these kids were the sons, the kids of Micha. She wasn't right. So the Gemara asks, did Micha give birth to them? 1 second. Meirav Yoldo Micha Gadlo Fichun Shma. That the Gemara says the rule: if you bring up kids, and for sure if you teach them Torah, if you bring them to the daf, then it's as if they're your children. And the same thing is by Rus and Vasya on this slide over here. Slide 8 is so basically, this is where it refers to Basya being Moshe's mother. It's not in the Torah. Right, the Gemara is bringing 3 examples. Michal, Naomi being called Yulad Bein Naomi, right? That people said.
When
That's what the people
Ruth-
said.
right,
But why did people say Yulad Bein Naomi? We're learning from what the people said. All right, fine. But the puzzle over here, which we bring, um, says that Basia was Moshe's mother. Where is it?
Right.
Yes, this is Basia, Isha Yehudia, which is Basia. You'll hear it. Fine. We'll get to the bed soon. Anyway, back to Palti Malayish. So there were three people who were conquered the Yitzhahara. Yosef, we read about with Ish Potiphar and Boaz when Ruth came to him, which technically she was mutter to him, but that was only for one night. And Yosef was the least, I guess, because she was Neshes Ish. Boaz was mutter to Ruth technically, but it wasn't the time to marry her. It wasn't time to even yet. And Palti Malayish was on the highest level because it was, for years and years he went on, and afterwards he cried because of the reason the Gemara says he cried, which was because of the Yitzhahara that he conquered. I would say more about Batis just because the whole ordeal was such a big ordeal, but whatever. That's not what the Gemara says. Shekrachen v'heva yofi. So that's Shekrachen, like we just said. Yosef heva yofi Boaz. Here's Hashem Tisal, Palti Malayish, and the most famous pasuk, which is the many speeches. Shekrachen is Dor Moshe, heva yofi is Dor Shua, Hashem Tisal, Dor Chizkiah. And the last thing before the Mishnah is that the door of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Eloi, that 6 people will be covered by one talus. How 6 people will be covered by one talus? So who says, or Chaim Shmulevitz says, because they would each push they weren't literally covered by one talus. Obviously, it's the talus meant to fit one person. With 6-person blanket, that's not the child. Fine. So they would each push the blanket away from themselves. Fine. If a king has a mace, then he doesn't go from the palter, from the palace. Sorry, I want that tough now. Rabbi Yehuda says he can, and the proof is the David went to Avner's funeral. What was the story with Avner? It's getting late, but Avner was on David's side, and he made a deal with David that he would let David be king, and he would give up on not Ishbosheth, Ishbosheth, right? That he would give up on Ishbosheth. Yoav wasn't happy about it, so he tricked Avner to come to him in front of the Bezdin, and he said, "Show us how you do chalitza." So he bent down and he killed him. Huh? What was it that hands? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes, so he killed his brother. That's why he
Oh, okay, fine. I didn't know that part. So anyway, and apparently at the time when Avner was very strong, he was going to kill Yoav, but then the Sanhedrin said, "Stop. We're not going to have a side." So fine. Anyway, the point is that everyone thought that David killed Avner. David had Avner killed because Avner initially wasn't supportive of him; he was supportive of Ishbosheth. So now the reason David went to his funeral, which has to do with the Mishnah, is to show that really he's very much with Avner. He actually went among the women and the men. He really, the Secret Service probably a very tough time. He was like, like how he protected God. Right. So that's what Dov was doing. But really, again, the Gemara says it's not a raya. Why? Because really he wouldn't do that. But he had to show the people it was necessary, or else the people would really not accept him as a king or maybe kill him because they were so mad about Avner, which is a horrible death. So that's what probably an exception to the rule. Now, why was Avner punished? We know how he was killed and why David went to his funeral. Why was he punished? So two pshatim, either because he should have protested against Shaul when he killed Novi Kohanim, or he should have said something or tried to protest, or because he initially supported Ishbosheth, so Shia Machs Beis David Shtei Shalom Efza, that he had a part in delaying the Machs Beis David for 2.5 years. Fine. Right, the king, there's a lot of stuff with this bed over here. I put a picture of the bed. Basically, by the Sudas Havra, the king doesn't sit on the floor. Usually, the people sit on the floor, and at night, the people turn their beds over. Hamita, we have a couple good slides there. Huh? Right, so So basically what happens by a king is you untie these ropes and then let it fall to the ground, or maybe zokim mitaso, you just put it straight up against the wall. What happens usually is that you kof mitaso, you by regular avim, you just turn the mitas over and they sleep over here. It's a carpet, but usually they would sleep on the floor.
It's the guys in the.
Yes, that's not it. Fine. So, right, so that's why it's bad to be called from tussle. But that's a ham by regular avil by king.
Standing up the bed. Then where you sleeping? Standing up?
I don't know. I mean, here you have Zokim Mitassel, slide 12, but yeah, I don't know. I guess basically sleeping on the floor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fine. Maybe it's like a couch bed. Not like this picture, but like you sleep like sitting in a sitting position. I don't know. Huh? I don't know. Yeah, it's supposed to, whatever. So the king could go to the Shus, and he has eminent domain. And also no he can just make a road wherever he wants it, and no one could say anything. Derech Hamelech Ein Lo Shir, he can make as wide as he wants. The Gemara basically is two machloks from here. When you first of all, when Shmuel was telling the people about what's going to happen if there's a king and he's going to rule over them, right? So was he just scaring them, right? Like Rashi says, the Shmuel, Shmuel wasn't actually saying the halachas of a king. People want a king. Shmuel thought it was a bad idea at the time, at least. So he's told if you have a king, this is going to happen, that can happen. Are those the halachas of a king, or Shmuel was not?
If you learn Shmuel, you learn another. He was said because he said, "Why you need a man? We have a king."
Right.
So he was pushing the arm.
Right, but
we have a king.
But was he really saying all these things are the halachas of a king?
No,
if you have a king?
He's saying you
So that's machlos. So come on. That's machlos. Come on. Kol pashas melech mutabo, and then Rav says, "Lo amalem pashas ela ayam aleim." Right. That's what Rashi says. The Shmuel. Right. So he wasn't literally saying the halachas of a king.
No, right.
And similar, related machlos, the Gemara says there's three mitzvahs that you have to do when you come into Eretz Yisrael. And they're in sequential order. So you have to, 1 second. Lahabed Melech, Lahachasach Shamalek, and to build a base Mikdash. Right? So the question is there a mitzvah to put a melech on you or not? According to his memory, obviously, there's three mitzvahs. There's Tavi Shah, B'Knisas La'os, Lahabed Melech. I'm sorry, Lahabed Melech, Lahachasach Shamalek, Muslim is based on Bechira. Right? Three mitzvahs. That's according to that brisa. Or the other side is no, they're complaining, and that's why they got that. But really, there's no mitzvah per se. The pasuk saying when you come to that soil, this is what's going to happen. So, is there a mitzvah to have a king? I guess it's machlokas. A very when we talk about Shlomo HaMelech, in the beginning he was ruler of the whole world, and then he's the ruler of Yerushalayim, and l'bsof lo malch ala maklo. At the end of the day, he was only malch on his stick. Either because he did Averis, because he married more women, whatever it was, his influence decreased. There's a machlokas between Rav and Shmuel whether he returned at the end of his life to his former glory, to his former reign over the whole world or not. So that's a machlokas. Oh, okay. I guess it depends. Right. Fine. Who decides? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, but that's not this Gemara doesn't talk about Olam. But that's again that would correspond to Machlokas here whether he at the end of his life did he go back to being a tzaddik and king over the whole world or not? I mean, a tzaddik, of course we can't judge him, but on his level he did wrong things. Fine. Otzes Malach Hamelech. So the Gemara ends off over here. Basically, the king's storehouse, the Otzes Malachim all belong to the Melech. It's not government money. It's the king's money. Not like in America, right? The government money is our money. It's the king's money. That's it. And Shabi Zerboz and Mechsel Melech Mechsel Am. That when there's spoils from a war, basically half and half. Half goes 50% to the king, 50% to everyone else. Fine. Now we talk about the many susim and the many wives, right? So there's machlokas, whether you can have many horses and many wives, to the right,
160 million horses.
right. So the question is basically the pasuk says lo yos levavo. So the pasuk is a reason. Does that mean if it's not going to be yos levavo, it's famous? If you're not going to be yos levavo, could he marry more? Or the pasuk gives reasons. The Gemara aligns it with the shitas of Dorish time of the Kra. The Gemara says maybe we are Dorish time of the Kra if the pasuk doesn't say a reason, but over here the pasuk says a reason, so it must be that we're not Dorish time of the Kra, and really that's what Shimon says that just he has to have 18, and also another condition of even one wife is that she shouldn't be a bad person. She shouldn't be a bad person. She shouldn't make her heart turn away from Hashem. I feel, but right. So those two separate things, right? The right, that even if they're not that way, the pasuk is saying two things. Number one, number two, even one, she shouldn't be a bad influence on you. Fine. How do you learn that from so we'll go to the slide, will save us a lot of time. Right. So here's on the way up to 48. So we're not going to go to this sheets of 24 and 48. But when David was going to marry Bathsheba, so he said, if you want, I'll also call Kohena of Kohena. Right? So he had 6 wives. Kohena is another 6, and Kohena is another 6. That's 18. Over here we have the Cheshbon. If you add in the Vav and the whole word Kohena, first you add the whole word Vav to the Kohena, and then the whole word Kohena is extra, so that's double the first amount, right? Kohena is 6. It says also called Kohena V'Kohena. So Kohena is equal to the first. V'Kohena is extra. Then the Vav is extra, and the whole V'Kohena is extra. So that's 48. Fine. This Gemara goes through a story of Amnon and Tamar. Tamar, she was a fastor, and she was Tamar was a kid of Macha, who was a fastor before she was Megayeres. Avshalom was afterwards. So Tamar wanted to marry. Amnon wanted to marry Tamar. Tamar said, "Go to David the Melech, get his blessing." And he's like, "No." And he tried to force her to marry, and she basically castrated him, and he hated her for that. And then they both saw Gazru. It's funny, my daughter saw that slide. She was like, "Yep, that's why there's a Isser of Yichud. Like the girls know this stuff." She just saw a slide now. What do you mean? Oh, did she say no? No, she was ready if David gave his blessing. I'm not sure. He didn't bother going to David, I guess. Oh, he went to David? I don't know. No, she was a pastor. The Gemara is coming out to Mutter.
He was going to marry her, but he decided
to cut to the chase.
To do what he wanted to do.
Right.
Therefore, she said,
right.
Then she had her hair.
Right. So she castrated him with her hair. Right. She had the hair because she was a star, not really a Jewish woman. Fine. And that was why we have mitzvah yichud, pnuya. Fine. Basically, the king, this we know, shouldn't have a lot of horses. So he could have some horses enough for an army. Obviously, he has to have an army. He has to have enough money for his army. But not more than that. Fine. Right. And if they malo Torah says why, if someone asks you a question, why does the Torah say it's reasons? Because there's 2 places the Torah says reason. And Shlomo Melech, who was the Gadol Shabbat was nichshal in the reason. He said, "I'm going to have horses, I'm not going to go back to Mitzrayim. I'm going to have wives, I'm not going to make my heart turn away from Hashem." So that's what both of them happened. So the Torah does not give reasons. Now, fine. He has to write Sefer Torah, even though he inherited Sefer Torah. Then he has to write one. He has to have 2 shtei Torahs. One goes out, and one stays to the war. It's a small one, like on his wrist, and one's like a Chaim had, apparently a very small Sefer Torah, and one stays with him. The Torah was written first in Machlokas. If the Torah was written, which kind of ksava, which kind of language? There's a Machlokas. whether it was written Ksav Ashuri, which again is best illustrated by
Is what we use.
illustration. Ksav Ashuri is what we use, or Ksav Ivri. This is Ksav Ivri over here. These guys, and of course Ashuri is this on the side over here. This is a Vav, and Vav Hamudin for some reason I'm not sure is a raya to this Vav. I'm not sure why. It's not this. Yeah, if you ask me, this is a hook also, but who asked? No one asked me. So
That's that word you know.
Or holder.
right. Anyway, fine. So and then anyway, even if it was forgotten, basically we got our current writing. Either it was at the time the Torah was written, or we got it back in the days of Daniel, and there was no famous story that there was writing on the wall. The writing on the wall, as in the famous picture by who? Rembrandt. Rembrandt. Apparently, it's a famous picture by Rembrandt, which I don't have here. I don't have rights to the picture. Rembrandt, right? This the writing on the wall was in Ksav Ashuris, and no one could read it, right? And the question is, huh? Right. If the letters never Shimon holds, the letters never change. If Shimon holds, the letters Ksav Zol Lamlushtan Kol Ikra. There's three shitas. Number one, we had it, it was forgotten, it came back. Number two, it started with the old-fashioned letters and it was changed. Rav Shimon says no, it was these kind of letters all along. So the question is, if there was these letters all along, how come no one could read what was the writing on the wall? And the answer is, as the famous pictures are, because it was written in a funny way. The right that we know, there's three shitas. Manamara, yes, thank you. No, I didn't have the video either. Right, this is the most popular one, I think. Rav Ashi said this is how it was written. Here it was written sort of backwards, with Atbash together, which this is where's Atbash? And right, so right. So basically, or there's another sheet that these letters are mixed up or something. Fine. Basically just introduce the rest that okay, well, we'll go back there. Almost finished. Fine. So that's the story. And of course the story is the Nebuchadnezzar, not Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar, right? The days of Belshazzar, and there was Jews there, and Daniel figured it out, and he basically was going to die that night, and he ended up dying that night because he was killed by his own servants. Fine. Basically, the mission is saying that anything belongs to a king, you can't use it. You can't see him taking a haircut, going to the bathhouse. Avishag was not married to David, which means she was mutter to Shlomo because she was still the king's sochenes, so she was usher to anybody else, right? But so she was usher to Adonia, but she was mutter to Shlomo because he was also a king. So one king can use the other king's items. Right, and here's the whole story. Huh? That's a good question. Fine. So
Every day.
right. So I'll see you tomorrow. Fine. And basically, the guy was married, and he said, who's Ashes Nurecha? He said, like your mother. Who's Mami Mavis? Like your mother. So it's the same woman, but obviously she had good and bad traits, or maybe good and bad days. Anyway, the king takes a haircut every day, Kohen Gadol every week, and the Kohen Hedger every month. Basically, Kohen Gadol has to look good for the new mishmar every week. So that's why it takes a weekly haircut. Mishmaros, fun, and the question is, could Kohanim drink? And we said when the Beis Hamikdash was active, so you knew when your week was, and you couldn't drink during your week, but the rest of the time you could get very drunk, right? Now, people Kohanim should not get very drunk. Yosim Revius, then the more you sleep or whatever, then basically the only time obviously takes off the liquor. But if the Mashiach comes right then, you're not going to be able to do that avoda. Fun. And the king has to take a very short haircut. Okay, just ending up. This is 2 days daf. Basically, the concept of Zebol Echad, which the Gemara initially thinks is like that picture, that you each choose a bezdin, and but if you choose one dayan and the other dayan chooses a dayan. And why do you do this? So there's a reason why you do Zebol Echad, meaning that the people are going to like the din. If you choose a judge, then you say, oh, this must be a good din. Now, from the judge's perspective, they should know who's sitting with them. Whenever you sit down by a table by a simcha, you should know who's sitting with you. If you're a Talmud Chacham, you should only sit with the Meir Chacham. Right? Right. You should have to sit in the rabbi's table, the clergy, right? You have to sit with the clergy reserve seats. The people get the kosher meals. That's it. That's it. Right, and you can't pass the dayanim if you're in some kind of akros. If you're in a court where it's just a sort of arbitration court, then you could say, I don't want to go to this guy for arbitration. Once in the court, then you can't say where you should go. The lova cannot dictate that you should go to a different court because Eved Lova Lishmalva, which someone made a picture of a lova being dragged around. Right, and how could you passel someone? You can't just say someone's no good. You have to have ir chamishpacha. And the end of the Gemara is talking about, let's say, if two pairs of edim, could people passel one of them, right? Because there's still another pair of edim left, right? So machogs b'shteki to edim.
What was the result with that? The only way I do puzzle is was the card. Other than that,
Pagam mishpacha, right?
the card, yeah, mishpach. Other than that,
Right.
you say I don't like you. I don't want you.
Right, for sure. That's right. Right. So, but if you talk of the family, you're not talking about age. You're talking about the family. And have a good night, Rabbi Say.
Beautiful.